Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Crypto Mining Morning Show. Today, we are going to be talking about not very many crypto mining topics, but we always talk about all the topics from the perspective of a crypto miner. If you guys aren't familiar with me, I go by Blind Run, which is an old gamer tag, and this channel is Son of a Tech. We cover cryptocurrency mining primarily with, of course, a little splash of everything else from DeFi to NFTs, staking, nodes, etc. Today we have a new release from LOL Miner version 1.44 that we're going to cover at the beginning of the show. Then we're going to be talking about Shiba Inu and the supply burn that's coming up on Valentine's Day, followed by Wells Fargo getting all into crypto, basically, which is surprising because, as you guys may know, as a crypto miner, it's pretty hard to set up an LLC and get a bank account tied to that LLC if it has anything to do with cryptocurrency. So hopefully that'll be good. Also, once we're through with that, we'll be talking about the cryptocurrency mining markets and how everything is looking. I am actually having some issues now when I switched to Ton Pool as well that we're going to talk about, where I have high load averages. This was not a problem on Whales Ton Pool, and I find it interesting. So that's something that we're going to have to look into from the mining farm perspective. Before we get into it today, we're going to go ahead and get started with the ad. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Welcome back. Alrighty, so first things first, let's hop into this one. We have a pretty big patch list, update list here for LOL Miner version 1.44. It released 4 hours ago. Let me get this up and running, actually. It looks like we fell out from there. Boom, there we go. Okie dokie. So LOL Miner version 1.44. Here are the features added. Added experimental ET hash plus Ton dual mining kernels for NVIDIA Pascal generation GPUs. That's going to be the 10 series. So if you guys are having issues and you couldn't get it working on the 10 series, I think it was basically anything below like the 1660s were having issues. So your 1070s, 1080s, 1060s, etc. And then the setting the parameter max dual impact to 0 will now completely disable dual mining on this card. Setting the parameter dual devices can now be used to make GPUs mine Ton only in ETH plus Ton dual mode in combination with max dual impact. This means one can choose for every card each algorithm to mine. That's pretty cool. Automatic tuning for dual mining will now always make sure the parameter is adjusted to so the GPUs start on both algorithms if max dual impact is not set. Manually setting max dual impact will disable automatic parameter stretching. All right, excuse me, guys. I got a little bit of something stuck in my throat. All right, sorry about that. Now I can read and not stumble over everything, I think. All right, Windows adjusted LHR parameters a bit for more stable operation. IceMining.ca Ton Stratum now can use the pass or dual pass parameter to apply pool settings. Fixes. Windows fixed a bug that caused abnormal high stale rates on ETH and ETH Ton dual mining on NVIDIA cards. This is going to be important because obviously we were having issues, I think, on the Windows side. Windows fixed a bug that made the miner crash when HTTPS connection tried to reconnect, mostly on TON. This is one that we were talking about yesterday. Hopefully we'll have to get it up and running and see if that resolves it. Linux fixed a bug that might cause SIG-SEV or SIG-PIPE crash on some Linux platforms when reconnecting. Fixed a bug that caused the miner to enter reconnect routine when one endpoint of TON pool did not work. Although other endpoints did connect well, that in combination with the previous one was the root cause for most TON errors in Windows we had recently. Fixed a bug with icemining.ca TON Stratum not sending correct job ID when dual mining on AMD cards. Fixed a bug with JSON style configuration not working with dual mining in 1.43 release version. Temporarily disabled the ZIL cache function on AMD GPUs because it sometimes did not swap clearly. We will bring this back as soon as possible. So here's their examples for the dual devices. Essentially what this is going to allow you to do is like turn off TON on maybe a card that's getting too hot in a single rig, but everything else looks fine. Vice versa, you could turn off ETH. I don't know why you would want to. You probably want to try to always mine ETH if possible, and TON is just an additional pump there, if anything. Alrighty, so there's the release for LOL Miner version 1.44. I do need to get into my farm and probably update to that version. And then on my farm, one of the big issues that we're also running into, like I said, is going to be the high load average now that we've switched to TON pool. What I'll do first, I think personally, is I'm just going to update my flight sheet on these rigs. I'm actually doing it right now. And then we'll see if updating to the latest version of LOL Miner resolves it, right? So if I'm in, let me make sure there's nothing I'm worried about here. Yeah, so if I'm in here, we're just going to go ahead and hit our miner config. It doesn't look like it's supported yet. Okay, so there's just 1.43 so far in Hive. Hive's going to have to add support for that before we can get on it. Of course, this released 4 hours ago, so it's not really unexpected. That being said, we can also test it on Windows and see if it resolved that problem that we were having. So I'll be getting into that, testing it. Stay tuned to the channel, hit the notification bell, and I'll let you guys know what ends up happening there. So we have kind of one of the places that I've been getting kind of crypto news from is WCCF Tech. And part of the reason for that is because WCCF Tech isn't traditional cryptocurrency media. And kind of reading their perspective on these things is super interesting and gives us more talking points, I think, a lot of times too. And so let's go ahead and hop into this one. This one's from WCCF Tech. Shiba Inu registers gain of 52% over the past 7 days as the coin's bulls gear up for Valentine's Day supply burn party. Shiba Inu, a decentralized meme-inspired cryptocurrency that is trying to create new avenues of utility for its holders, continues to benefit from the ongoing recovery in the wider crypto sphere, even as the coin's bulls gear up for a sizable supply burn scheduled for next week. As you can see here, this is the chart they're talking about. It's gone up quite a bit. At the time of writing, Shiba Inu's SHIB coin is trading at this, whatever this is this tens, hundreds, thousands, 100,000s, corresponding to gains of over 52% in the past 7 days. The entire crypto market seems to have stabilized following an epic rout at the start of the new year, with Bitcoin leading its customary charge higher. So as you can see here, they're just basically posting some of the charts. BTC is slowly approaching the 200-day EMA and flip the EMA into support. And this will be an indication that long-term investor sentiment is shifting back to being bullish on Bitcoin. So, and then there's more from Rekt Capital. Let's get into more Shiba. While we remain cautiously optimistic regarding the prospects of this budding rally, Shiba Inu SHIB coin is receiving a further boost from a conglomeration of intrinsic bullish factors. As we've noted previously here, Bigger Entertainment is one of the 9 different entities that have promised to periodically burn SHIB supply. But unlike its other counterparts, Bigger Entertainment has formalized its supply burn initiatives via a 2022 roadmap. Let's go ahead and pop into this roadmap that they gave us, right? So, burn, baby, burn. Our Christmas themed burn party was a success. And then I think they have right here this burn party for Valentine's Day. I gotta say that the advertising for this is on point. This poster's lit. So it says a bigger burn roadmap for 2022. And so we are kicking off this year strong with our SHIB Lovers merch campaign running from January 14th to February 14th. And the best part is 80% of the proceeds from all SHIB Lovers purchases will be used to burn SHIB. All right. For those that aren't familiar, the process of burning is basically removing that supply of whatever that token or coin is from the total supply at the very base, which means you're destroying a portion of it. It's like if you had a portion of US dollars and decided to literally burn them. I'm sure most of you guys in chat are aware of that. As we've noted previously here, Bigger Entertainment is one of the 9 different... Okay, we did that one. As a part of these efforts, the company has now unveiled the SHIB Lovers merch, which will entail plowing 80% of the sale proceeds that the company receives by Valentine's Day into Shiba Inu SHIB token. These tokens will then be burnt at a dedicated event on the 14th of February. And here is the information as far as that goes. Bigger Entertainment will also host a football-focused Super Burn event in February, an NFT Madness event in March to April. While detailing the rationale behind these events, Bigger Entertainment CEO Stephen Cooper recently stated that the company's goal was to pump Shiba Inu's SHIB token to a 1% price, or a 1 cent price, so 1 penny. And that's what you can see here from Stephen Cooper. Our goal isn't for SHIB holders to always burn their coins. Our goal is to spread music, YouTube videos, merch, NFTs, etc. to audiences outside of the SHIB army. This is how we reach a 1 penny price point, by building an ecosystem where people are burning without even knowing it through entertainment. So this is just absolutely insane to me that this is going on, for a couple reasons. But one would be from just a legal perspective, this seems like a nightmare. However, this is like a third party that's participating in this burn. There's a few things about Shiba Inu that I feel like a lot of people miss, and especially when we're talking about general retail investors, right? The people that are buying cryptocurrency that aren't like heavily invested in the technology or the ideas or the principles behind it. So first of all, one of the misconceptions that like needs to get kind of like out of the way is like, it's not a coin in and of itself, right? So it is a token. So while adoption does matter a lot for tokens, it's still influenced by the price of whatever cryptocurrency it's built on top of. And I think that like for people to understand that is important. It's not like it's a currency within and of itself as far as a traditional blockchain goes, right? The other thing here is like whenever we're talking about burns, etc., you want to be extremely careful around tokens and coins that do this, because for the most part, this usually leads to some sort of rug pull in a lot of cases. That's where basically other projects, I'm not saying Shiba Inu in particular, it's just one of those red flags where what they'll do is basically get you to unknowingly burn a portion. Now, there are other projects that do this whenever you purchase a token, period. A lot of them are involved with other things like liquidity pools, for example. And essentially what people will do is get you to lock up, a portion of whatever you're purchasing, or just straight up burn it. And by burning the supply, they increase the value of the cryptocurrency that they're holding. And so when he says, you know, we're not trying to essentially do this to the public, isn't for SHIB holders to always burn it. One of the things that's a little concerning is this whole idea of, and I don't know why it keeps clicking into there. I'm trying to highlight it, but can't highlight it because it clicks it. Is this idea that they want, you know, they want them to burn it without even knowing it. And I think that's a dangerous statement to make. However, this functions a little bit different because it does appear that they're burning something that they're, you know, purchasing a physical item for. It's an interesting way to go about it. That being said, like I said, some of those other coins that do similar things can usually be like a red flag of some sort of scam. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying Shiba Inu is a scam. This isn't financial advice. If you want to invest in it, that's okay. Me personally, I wouldn't invest in Shiba Inu for a lot of reasons, but one of them being kind of this fake or faux ecosystem and manipulating the currency to increase the price of the currency. And if that is what the community is doing, then you already know everybody that's currently invested in Shiba Inu has a very clear goal of just purely pumping the price of Shiba Inu, not necessarily moving forward the technologies and getting value that way, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So meanwhile, SHIB Swag is another initiative that retails merch items online and promises to plow 30% of its profits into SHIB coin burn schemes. While these initiatives are a testament to the vibrancy of the entire Shiba Inu community, the prospects of placing a sizable dent on the token's overall supply remains challenging. After all, the SHIB coin still entails a circulating supply of over 549 trillion tokens. Meanwhile, Shiba Inu bulls remain focused on the upcoming Shiba Inu metaverse platform dubbed SHIBverse. Moreover, Shiba Inu Games, an entirely new division, is focused on creating video game primarily geared towards Android and iOS mobile platforms. Once fully developed, the game would be licensed to the project's developers for use on Shibarium, the native blockchain that is powered by the SHIB token. Okay, so then it does have its separate native blockchain. I need to go do some research on that, I guess. Crucially, the revenue derived from the game's in-app purchases will be used in part to burn SHIB and leash coins. Lots of burning going on here. So as far as like Shiba Inu from a project standpoint, what I have noticed is that there is more going on outside of just pure investment, as opposed to like kind of what we saw with like the Dogecoin craze. I know that like they've talked about the metaverse platform, which I think is relevant, as well as the Shiba Inu games, which is relevant probably to a lesser extent, but I kind of dismiss mobile games for the most part. So I don't think it'd be anything that I would ever play. What are y'all's thoughts on burning? And this is one where it feels like I'm not a big fan of burning in general. I guess if the rules are set and clear, we could say maybe it's okay, but being in the space, especially DeFi, and kind of playing around with it, and then seeing the impact of burns on like particular projects and what that means for new investors, especially buying in, is that they're always kind of buying at a higher price and then needing other people to get in to purchase at the higher price to then basically settle out and be in the profit. It gets really murky in essentially the way that it functions is similar to like Ponzi schemes. And it always makes me nervous when I see projects going along those lines of like burning a whole bunch of stuff. This is also obviously from a miner's perspective, we get bad taste in our mouth from EIP 1559, where they're literally burning a portion of the block reward that used to go to miners. So all of that kind of put together makes me not, trust the whole burn scheme thing. But take a look at that poster. That's a good looking poster right there. And then as far as for me personally, I need to go in and do some more research on all of the projects that Shiba Inu is going on with. I knew about some of the games and stuff. What I didn't know about was the native blockchain, which is interesting. And I would want to know more about that. And I think I'll have to come back and do some more research on it. And then maybe we can talk about it at the end of the show. Let's talk about Wells Fargo saying crypto is like the internet in the late 90s, nearing hyper adoption phase. This is something that I think the entire cryptocurrency market has been saying for a long time, which is like basically saying the crypto bubble is like the internet bubble. And that means like a couple things, right? You have essentially great potential in short-term profits, etc. But you also need to watch out for a bubble popping. It means that there are going to be projects that never make it or never see the light of day, and then projects that will make people insanely wealthy. And this is kind of the nature of what the comparisons between a crypto bubble to the internet bubble would mean. Let's see what Wells Fargo has to say about it. This is coming from Blockwords. Wells Fargo is drawing similarities to the adoption rate of the internet, calling crypto early, but not too early. So, multinational financial services and banking giant Wells Fargo told investors Monday. Let me see if I can scroll in here for you guys. It did not think it was too early to get skin in the game for cryptocurrency investments. And this is good news. So if retail or institutional investors are saying that, it's not too late to go ahead and invest in cryptocurrency, right, kind of on this tail end of what was looking like to potentially be a bear market, this is a good signal, I think, from the perspective of the markets and where we're headed. In a report from Bank's global investment strategy team, Wells Fargo said crypto users are growing rapidly around the world and appear to be a, quote, hyper adoption phase, be near a hyper adoption phase, similar to that of the internet during the mid to late 1990s. Quote, we believe that cryptocurrencies are viable investments today, even though they remain in the early stages of their investment evolution, end quote, the company said. The bank is making recommendations to investors to approach crypto investments through professionally managed private placements, telling them to be patient while the industry continues to mature. Now, I want everybody to be very careful here and note a couple things. What they're saying here is that you're not smart enough to invest in cryptocurrency. Therefore, you should really go through a professionally managed placement of that. Who would be that professional kind of mediary? That would be Wells Fargo, in their opinion. Let's go back to the basic principles of cryptocurrency, which is a peer-to-peer cashless system, removing third parties like Wells Fargo. So, obviously, to me, Wells Fargo here is starting to feel like they need to jump on the bandwagon. What their goal is going to be is to get you to invest into cryptocurrency through their institution. They will more than likely advise against you investing in cryptocurrency on your own, right? Which is against the principles of cryptocurrency. We want the Wells Fargos of the world out of the game at the end of the day. Quote, we do not recommend any of the other current investment options such as mutual funds, ETFs, grantor trusts, and individual cryptocurrency speculation. See, they can't have that. They can't have the individual. They can't have the individual doing this. The company added it was hopeful 2022 would bring about greater clarity on regulatory front, which could lead to higher quality investments. Wells Fargo also said it did not subscribe to the too late to invest argument new investors feel when they first start poking around in digital assets. That's because performance numbers for most crypto are skewed as they've grown from virtually zero, according to the report. The bank also points to crypto being a nascent industry. I actually don't know the definition of that, which would be... Oh, okay, I get it. So coming or having recently come into existence. Huh. Could have just said new. And, quote, relatively young investment space, end quote, with a large majority of projects being fewer than 5 years old. Wells Fargo believes crypto is, quote, early but not too early, end quote, in the investment stage, highlighting the need for investor education while also pointing out crypto's adoption rate similar to that of the internet during the turn of the century. And as you can see here, here's the internet usage versus crypto users. And then I think the crypto users are in these little dots right here. And it says we're kind of coming up on that year 2001, right? Like right here. And then this is in comparison to, of course, the internet, with the internet ending in 2021, with crypto ending in 2042, saying, you know, we're about to hit kind of this mark of just kind of parabolic price rises. So its research draws parallels to the internet's performance during that time in the late 90s and its technology S-curve when the web's use surged from 77 million in 1996 to 412 million in 2000. The bank believes crypto may have reached an adoption inflection point that bears resemblance to where the internet was back then. The chart above is published in the report compares the global adoption rate of the internet beginning in 1993 and crypto users beginning in 2014. Quote, based on this comparison alone, it appears that cryptocurrency use today may be a little ahead of the mid to late 1990s internet, the bank said. Precise numbers aside, there is no doubt that global cryptocurrency adoption is rising and could soon hit a hyper-inflection point. Wells Fargo is no stranger to the crypto industry. Its report adds to musings penned last year when it called crypto a viable investment asset and said it would begin offering a professionally managed solution to its wealthiest clients. The banking giant followed up by registering a passive Bitcoin trust with the Security Exchange Commission in August, which I think we covered both of those things last year on this channel. Once again, I just want to bring everybody back to the principles of crypto and just let you know, in my opinion, from a principled standpoint, not a financial advice standpoint, I would traditionally be against, you know, a professionally managed crypto portfolio. I would also lean towards basically taking that responsibility on for yourself, doing the learning that you can about it, and then getting in from there. Now, to the note about, you know, the bubbles that are potential for this as well. One of the things is like the overall grand scheme of things, cryptocurrency could rise. As far as all of the projects within cryptocurrency, there are going to be a lot that fall off and a lot that shoot up really high, right? But even at this early stage, it's important to note a few things if you want to draw parallels to the internet. There are things like Yahoo as a search engine that are not used anymore that were highly used at that time in the internet. You have things like AOL Instant Messenger as well, or just AOL in general, that pretty much dominated the space and now is no longer a thing. These are all examples of projects you could get into that end up not paying off. While on the other hand, if you get in early on something like Google or before the iPhone, etc., then you're good to go. What problem does that present, though, from an investment standpoint? And this is where the miner's perspective comes in. And I've talked about this a lot in the past with the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the biggest thing that I got from that book personally, once again, not financial advice, was that you want to buy or purchase assets that generate revenue. And that's how you're going to be able to build long-term wealth for you and your family. And so when we're talking about just purchasing a cryptocurrency, I don't find that as advisable as purchasing something that generates revenue. Now, what are examples of those things? On the mining side, they're pretty obvious. Graphics cards, application-specific integrated circuits, ASICs, whatever that device may be that's going to generate a piece of revenue every day. On the staking side, obviously, if you were going to invest in something like Cardano or whatever it may be, you want to make sure you're taking that investment and then staking it. What you don't want to be doing is using a professionally managed portfolio where they kind of give you a certain amount. Who knows what they're going to do with that? My assumption is if they're smart, they're going to have a centralized exchange within the banking system, and you won't be able to control your private keys. They could even be just staking it for you in the background, not telling you, and taking the profits for the bank, as they've been known to do with a lot of other investment manipulation stuff in the past. You never know, man. I wouldn't trust them personally, but those are kind of the parallels. Things to think about moving forward. If you're generating revenue, then you're going to be good. Now, could Bitcoin go away? That's kind of an interesting one too. Because if we're talking about kind of the traditional bubbles, you would say that in that case, Bitcoin could go away. I suppose that could be a possibility. At this point, there are some very distinct things going on within Bitcoin itself that kind of not only protects it, but also just makes it function different than like the internet bubble. One of those, of course, being that concept of a store of value, but you don't have a governed cryptocurrency in the case of Bitcoin. So I think other crypto projects where you do have like some sort of governing body as a whole that isn't focused on maybe the miners or the workers that are supplying the, verification for the chain. Those are the ones I would expect to shift. The Fluxes, the Ergos, the Chias, the Ethereums, the Cardanos, that sort of thing. The one that I still think personally that avoids all of that bubble poppingness of individual companies failing is going to be Bitcoin, because it doesn't have that governing body outside of the miners making the decision. It has a supply cap. It has good fundamentals, as they call them, within cryptocurrency, whereas a lot of the other projects do not have that. Let's talk about cryptocurrency mining profitability. For the day, we are down on ETH, 0.0762 ETH a day, but we are up in price, $235 a day. Now, my hash rate is all over the place because I am currently having a lot of issues with Toncoin, specifically Tonpool. I'll be trying to get those worked out. One of the weird things, yesterday we talked about Whales Ton, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to swap everything over to Tonpool. When I swapped over to Tonpool, within the first, let me see here, because I have my Telegram pulled up here so I could get the exact information for you guys. So within the first 8 hours, we did 7 Ton, which I was like, okay, so the profitability is coming back, because the day before on Whales Ton, we did 6 Ton for the whole 24 hours. And then overnight, everything just kind of stopped, and we only got an extra 1.6 Ton overnight, right? Which was like another 12 hours. So in the first 8 hours, it appeared to start working. We were starting to get the expected Ton in relation to the difficulty of the network. And then it kind of took a poop. And then everything on my farm started getting high load averages, which is very odd because for the first few days we were golden. Everything was working perfect. and then this happened. So I'm really not sure exactly what's going on, but you can see we have some fails here. We're getting the high load averages popping off. It looks to be a little, yeah, here, here, here. No, not here. So these three have high load averages, but I was getting a couple on the other ones as well. So there does seem to be some issues with the TON pool as well, to a certain extent. I'm not sure what those are. What we need to see, obviously there were a lot of fixes that just went in this morning for LOL Miner. We need to see 1.44 adopted by HiveOS, and then once that's done, I'm going to apply that across the board. It'll probably take a while for me to get all of those updated, but this is kind of what we're running into right now, and it's obviously hurting my ETH hash rate on top of that. So I may pull almost everything off of TON and just have a couple rigs on there to start testing and seeing what's going on with the network in particular. My feeling is, in general, that obviously the difficulty went up. I think the pools themselves are also struggling to handle the load onto the network since all of us ETH miners started dual mining. And I think there's a lot going on there that's causing these issues. Right now, as it sits though, TON dual mining with Ethereum, as far as I can tell, has lost its profitability. Now, we kind of thought this might happen, A, from me making the video, B, from the other people making the video and it being so profitable. There was definitely kind of a little bit of an expectation to this. The question would be is once the pools start handling the load and things are functioning properly again, will that profitability come back or like hit a level that still makes it profitable even with the high load on the network? And that's yet to be seen. But there are definitely issues there that need to be basically addressed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the mining profitability for the day on what to mine. Let's go ahead and get Zelhash plugged in here. RTX 3090, $4.18 a day on Ethereum. We got Equilibria in second at $2.96 and Flux in third at $2.84 a day after 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Scrolling down from there, we have some of the usual aspects projects kind of popping up here with Cortex coming in at $2.50. Ryo, once again, still think it's a dead coin, but still seems to be doing fine as far as price at $2.48. Ethereum Classic really hanging in there. Ergo fallen pretty far down at $2.39, but because of its low power, does bring it up to more profitable than Ethereum Classic. Firo at $2.19 and Conflux at $2.14. Ravencoin's way down there, $1.83 a day. Seems to be struggling for profitability. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 2080 Ti because it usually is the only GPU that shows more profitable on Flux than Ethereum. And that it does appear to be the case. Equilibria is surprising at $1.89 a day after power. Flux in second at $1.88 a day after power. But because of the higher power requirements on Flux, while the revenue is higher, the profitability is still lower after power at 10 cents a kilowatt hour than Ethereum, which is at $1.96 a day after power. All right, let's take a look at all of the charts. Bitcoin's at 205 exahash. No huge surprise here. Looks to be pretty normal. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum is now back over a petahash. It had dropped below a petahash for a little bit. Looks to be fully recovered and back above 1 petahash and is cranking along. That means our profitability is down as far as total amount of ETH earned. Flux had a crazy drop off on the 5th of February and then came back up. It's at 2.17 mega solutions a second, which is still down overall from the normal. I believe it was around 2.5 mega solutions a second for quite some time. And the difficulty doesn't seem to be compensating at the same time. It's kind of all over the place though. Let's take a look at Ravencoin since the halving. We're kind of expecting, yeah, right in that 4.5 terahash a second. It does, you do see a little bit of a drop off at the end in difficulty here. Let's take a look at Ergo. And on Ergo, I don't remember if there's very many changes here. I don't think so. Not at all. Unfortunately, we're not seeing a whole bunch of people move over to GetBlock, but right here you saw, I guess it was around 125. Now it's at 146 gigahash a second. I feel like it should be a lot higher with what they're doing with the voting system. That's how I feel about it, but it is what it is. I see Vertcoin over here. No big notes. Conflux. Nothing crazy. Cortex. A couple crazy things. Definitely Cortex is decreasing in amount of hash rate on the network. I would probably solo it at this point, if anything. But that's what I see. Let's take a look at mining pool profits. For the last 90 days, Flexpool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, Crazy Pool in third. Last 60 days, Flexpool in first, Crazy Pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. Last 30 days were exactly the same with Flexpool in first. Last 21 days, Crazy Pool takes first with Flexpool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. Last 14 days, Flexpool takes over first again, Mining Pool Hub in second, Ethermine in third, with Crazy Pool dropping out of the top 5. Last 7 days, Flexpool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, ZET in third. Last 3 days, Crazy Pool comes back to first with Mining Pool Hub in second, Ethermine in third, and Flexpool dropping out of the top 3. For the last day, Nanopool in first, Flexpool in second, and Mining Pool Hub in third. Now for Ethereum Classic, what we've noticed is, I believe it's always ZET at the top and Ethermine in second. I guess for the last day, Ethermine moved into first and 2 miners in second, and Nanopool in third, which is kind of interesting. Let's take a look at ASIC mining profitability. The Goldshell KD6 in first place, a huge increase in profitability day over day from yesterday. It looks like that's about $20 US a day. So Kadena is apparently making some waves somewhere. The KD5 coming in second at $95 a day. Now we do have this InnoSilicon A11, but with the merge, we kind of ignore this one, just so you guys are aware. That's an ET hash ASIC. If you want to buy one of those for the crazy amount that they're charging, go ahead. I wouldn't touch it personally. Antminer L7. Still kind of hard to see where these are at. I know that some people have them. I guess at this point we've seen some on eBay. The prices are still pretty high, so I don't know if it's really worth it. Same with the Cadenas, but we're going to go ahead and give it third place over the A11 at $63. And then if we really want to see where we're at with the ASIC mining, where it really matters, in my opinion, is going to be the Bitcoin mining market. That's going to be $18.59 a day on the S19 Pro. And, you know, that's going to make it really, really hard to get into the Bitcoin mine, or the Bitcoin mining in particular, because you need to buy a lot of the S19 Pros. And that's kind of one of the things that, like, I did want to address as well, because with Bitcoin ASIC mining, your investment is going to be a lot more long term. What that means is that you need to make sure that you have contracts surrounding your power, that you don't have to worry about crazy increases in power or rent costs or anything like that, because it's going to take you a long time to build up Bitcoin ASIC mining. As I look into it more and more, what I notice is that obviously that ROI for 10 grand or 11 grand on that particular one, right? is going to be quite some time. Let me see. I'll pull it up again. Divided by $18. That's 611 days. Does that mean you shouldn't invest in Bitcoin mining, or that you should? And really, like, if you're going to be, it's still better than just buying Bitcoin and holding it, in my humble opinion, because at least you're generating revenue. I do think that you have the least chance of the miner going completely obsolete over any other ASIC miner. And so that's why I would lean towards Bitcoin ASICs over something like the Kadena ASICs, where the profitability is super high, but the project isn't necessarily as grounded as Bitcoin. So that's kind of where I sit. That also goes back to the discussion about like kind of the internet bubble and things popping, etc., and why I think Bitcoin is kind of immune from that to a certain extent compared to a lot of the other projects. The fundamentals are there. What you're investing in is a little bit more long-term, but unfortunately, to get into Bitcoin mining at the ASIC level is pretty intimidating, as I'm coming to find out. So as you guys can see here, we have that S19 Pro for 11K, the M21 Koi miner. I know I got an email. I wrote up the contract yesterday to basically get these for testing. The testing details as far as like how we're going to do it essentially is a little up in the air. What I did do for at least the very first one is work out a purchase. So I'll be purchasing one of them, the 98 terahash model. For the other two, I think right now, as far as it goes, is they will be shipping me the other two at some point for us to do a review on the channel. However, I will not get to keep them. And then, of course, depending on how they perform, etc., I'll let you guys know how many I want to purchase. These are kind of where I feel like I could get into at least a little bit of Bitcoin mining at the higher end level. You're talking about the 98 terahash model being 8,200, the 92 terahash being 7,800, and of course the 83 terahash being 6,800. So these are kind of what I'm looking at. Reviews coming up on the channel. We'll get you guys worked out as far as that goes. And definitely always check the description for the affiliate link for these as well. So let's go ahead and get into questions and answers. Questions and answers are as follows. Priority goes to, of course, super chats, because they're the easiest to read. They are definitely not required. Another way to get attention is at Son of a Tech in the orange. Please refrain from asking the same question multiple times, because then that's going to make it more difficult to get through the questions, everybody's questions. So I'm going to get down here. Get down, get down. Oh. I did feel less prepared for today's video. I'm going to apologize for my lack of knowledge on everything going on with SHIB. I'm going to do some more research to figure out what the native blockchain portion is doing, as well as a little bit more research on what they're implementing for as a currency. I think some of the things that are interesting that we should take into account with Shiba Inu is that adoption rate. One of the things I think that's happening in crypto that will make people feel like they're missing out on a lot of stuff is those crazy pump and dumps. And then a lot of people want to get into them. And so it's very important to stay cautious, but also not so cautious that you miss the boat on something. For example, like NFTs. Now, as far as like NFTs go, from my perspective, there's still a lot of portions within NFTs that need to be resolved, right? The largest platform out for NFTs that controls like 80% of the market, OpenSea, clearly has issues with copyright infringement, etc., where you're able to just upload fakes. And that is a problem. There needs to be a system that checks at the very least checks their own database. But that being said, if you wanted the most opportunity, you wanted to be minting NFTs on OpenSea. And that is because NFTs were by far the largest used service within blockchain over the past year. So you don't want to get so jaded that you miss the opportunities, but you also don't want to be so accepting that you end up in a Ponzi. So it's a very tricky market, and it's probably not dissimilar from internet in the 90s. So let's go ahead. We have one super chat. Thank you for the $30 from Duran Yen. Says, burn like this don't sit well with me, but to each their own. Mobile games aren't as much to me, but they are the most accessible to the world population. So, right, only 60% of the world has internet. So I think I kind of covered that with my most recent statement. So, and then Doc Duggan says, Son of a Tech, don't extensively understand burning. All you need to understand about burning is that it removes a portion of whatever token or coin it is from the total supply, right? There are other ways that people handle burns where the actual burn doesn't happen. This has been usually within rug pulls, so they'll tell you that they're burning the coin, but they're really taking the coin and putting it into a contract. This happened a couple times within Uniswap. I know at least V1, probably V2 as well. And that's when a rug pull can essentially happen. So the devs will tell you that they're burning that token, but they're just putting it into a burn contract, and the contract never gets burned. And then they pull all that out, liquidate it, and rug pull everybody that's invested into the project. That has happened before. So that one should be easy to catch. I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with that one these days. But you just got to be up on your game and paying attention to what's happening, right? And we're all going to get taken here and there. So just try to limit your exposure, right? Andreas11G says, as Son of a Tech, try using Ice Mining Pool on TON. You have no issues with it, but you're on Windows. Even with 1.43 was running smooth. I need to see what the options are, I suppose, on LOL Miner. So if I did that, or not LOL Miner, I would have to configure it in the pool because they only have TON and whales. But I could configure it within the sheet on Hive, I guess. Okie dokie, let's get to more questions. Make sure you tag at Son of a Tech. Beach Bomb says, at Son of a Tech, can we see how many ASICs versus GPUs in the pool? No, unfortunately, you can't really see that. You would have to have them kind of tell you. If you dig like really hard, maybe there would be a way to kind of pull some data, but at this point, it's really hard to tell. I couldn't tell you how much of it is or is not, right? Arcade Cup says, at Son of a Tech, I put my 3,000 card clocks back when to what I had them before dual mining. ETH loss minimal, cards pulling less watts and hardly hardly any difference in TON is what you're saying, I think. 3070 is wide open though. I get a pretty big difference in TON when we did that on pretty much everything. So let's see here. So this card was overheating, so we put the power limit on, and as you can see on the 1660 Supers, what ends up happening is instead of the 600 mega hash a second, when they start dropping to that 80 watts, they go down pretty hard to like 170 to 200 mega hash a second. So I see pretty big dips when we put those power limits back in. Texas A says, as Son of a Tech, you have a 5700, debating if you should sell it now and try to get NVIDIA cards to replace it. The 5700 does not seem to have a life past ETH 2.0. Ditto for the 6700 XT. So you're going to have Ethereum Classic for sure, right? And then we are worried about the ASICs coming off of ETH for that. And then I do know that for the 5700 XT, Raven does do pretty well with the flash. So if you have it flashed like you have Ethereum flashed, for example, that will actually be 27 mega hash a second at like 130 watts. If you're flashed like ETH is flashed. So you do have a viable option with Ravencoin at $1.21 a day. Ethereum Classic at $1.12 a day. Oh, it's not as good as like a competing. What would you swap it out for? 2070 supers? I feel like you would swap it out for like 2070s or 2070 supers probably, if you could, which is going to make what, less on ETH, but has more options, sort of. I don't know, because I don't even know what you could swap it out for. How much do they really sell for? Everyday Beat says, at Son of Attack, what do you think about Shiba and Doge coming together? I don't understand what that would look like. I mean, Doge is its own separate blockchain. I don't understand what that would do for anybody or how that would function. B Cryptic says, what do you think about CKB mining? I haven't looked at CKB. Can you give me the actual project? CKB crypto. No, Nervos. I don't really know much about it, to be honest with you, so looks to be down in price. Where's their GitHub? No GitHub. No, here we go. Updates are happening on GitHub, so that's good. I don't know what you're talking about as far as mining it goes, though. It's a token. Oh, that's just a CKB token. I don't know what you're talking about as far as mining it goes, unless I'm missing something here. Oh. All right, so there's some mining guides up from like 2 years ago. And then it's a box from Gold Shell. Is that the case? It's... Oh, come on. Right there. Which means we should be able to go to here. $17 a day on the Gold Shell CK6. $10 a day on the CK5. I'm not seeing the CK Mini right now. My opinion, like, since it's an ASIC, I would just, and it's right in that same price range from what I can tell, I would just purchase Bitcoin ASIC miners personally. Is that fair enough? Looks like you can get a CK6 for 13 grand. Used. And the CK6 was $17 a day. Rough estimates, 764 days. I don't know. They don't seem worth it to me. All right. There we go. Dorimo says, at Son of a Tech, are ASIC miners sometime going to be useless for mining Bitcoin, just as ETH and the DAG file increasing and some cards just stop mining? Well, you have basic maintenance that you have to do, right? Regardless, as far as the DAG files go, that would really only be an issue right now on Ethereum. That won't be an issue with Bitcoin. And then each individual network, you would want to basically review that and see if there is a DAG building, how large the DAG is, and then calculate that into your mining purchase. For Bitcoin, that's not as big of an issue. If we're talking about ASICs in general, the idea behind GPU mining is that you have multiple avenues to ROI. So let's say ETH moves proof of stake, you still have other coins to mine. And then, like, let's say all GPU mining went away or your card is obsolete, you can technically recover a portion, you know, of your initial cost by reselling it on the used market to for other applications like gaming, etc. Whereas on the ASIC side of things, what you end up having is essentially a piece of obsolete equipment once it's no longer profitable for you, and you can try to resell it, but it's more than likely going to not be profitable for other people as well. Now, the caveat to that, specifically when we take a look at Bitcoin mining, is S9s are still a majority of the network, which tells me that a lot of people are still able to make S9s somewhat profitable. In addition to that, what you have is a longer lasting project. So I think, like, if you purchase like an S19 Pro now, I think it will be viable for quite some time, at least until 2025, I think, is when we're going to start seeing a lot of the like huge updates from Intel as far as low voltage Bitcoin miners hitting the market, stuff like that. And they I don't think they'll necessarily make other miners obsolete right away, but they do have that potential. And then once that goes away, like I said, your resale ability is nil, and that's why people lean towards GPU mining over ASIC mining. Shooter McGavin says, Ask Son of a Tech, probably a fairly noob question, but internet search doesn't reveal any BIOS mod update for the 1660 Supers other than for the Hynix memory. No, there's only mods for the Hynix memory one. It's all good, says Ask Son of a Tech. Thanks for another great stream. Got to get to work. Have a good day at work, bud. Backdoor Slug says, Ask Son of a Tech, I've heard conflicting information regarding which miner is the best for dual mining, ETH and TON. Is it T-Rex or LOL? What gives one the advantage over the other? Was T-Rex miner actually updated for dual mining TON? Did I miss that? I thought it was only Alephium. I mean, in theory, you could probably put it in. Yeah, so it's only technically Alephium that they added official support for, I think. So official support's on LOL miner, but I haven't tested it. I would lean towards LOL miner. Angel asks, how much power increase did you see adding Toncoin to the mining operation? 15%. Andres Varadi says, "Ask Son of a Tech, can you please mount the cam to the wall? I will work on it, but at the same time, the problem is I can't go up and down. So I have to figure out something else. Usually when I'm making videos, I'm not also moving around on the mouse pad. It's when we get into the live streams when we run into some issues. But I am aware of the issue." Andreas11G says, "Ask Son of a Tech, have you seen Charles Hoskinson tweet about Minotaur, a multi-resource blockchain consensus protocol that combines proof of work and proof of stake? Might be ADA, ERG, and CKB." No, I haven't seen that, Andreas. I'll try to take a look. The Stick Shark says, "Son of a Tech, I woke up this morning with 4 of your rigs down. If I boot one, they all boot. They'll run about 10 minutes, then all crash." I mean, you're going to have to go individually test those. If they're on like the same, if they're on the same circuit, maybe move them to different circuits and see if it's a power thing. Hypertech, go ahead and give me some information on SHIB. Shiba Inu token, let's do it. Let's go to their main page if we can. Somewhere around there. Oh, put coin market price, then we can go to Shiba token. Then we can take a look at the Woof Paper V2. Probably shouldn't download that, but whatever. Would a 6800 be a good card for a low budget rig build? Probably. I mean, it depends on the price you get it at, right? So it's gonna depend on the pricing for it. Gramsci says, "Can you make a video for flashing 5700s with the 55 megahash ETH?" It's already up on the channel. All right. Our background, none of this really matters. So it is a token on the ETH network. So therefore it's definitely not its separate blockchain. Okay, so I'm correct as far as that goes, as far as it being a token. Let's go ahead and look for more. Oh, this PDF is slow. We're talking about a dog. So they have this Shiba swap. I was already familiar with that. All right, here's the 3 tokens. You have Shiba Inu, Leash, and Bone. All right, so when you bury tokens, which is staking the tokens, you receive those. When you dig, which is providing liquidity, you get these. Fine. They're pairings. It's fine. So not really any different than Pancake Swap or anything along those lines. All right, more tokenomics. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a Ponzi. Add liquidity to burn tokens. Well, not really for them to burn them, but the project people too. that we were talking about earlier. Oh. Leash is the second token in Shiba Inu. It was originally envisioned to be a rebase token tied to the price of Dogecoin. Later, it was decided that Leash would turn off the rebase function and continue as a simple ERC20 token. Due to the low supply of tokens, the demand and reward for holding Leash and Leash ETH for the liquidity pools will lead to a meteoric rise similar to that of SHIB. And then 1% of all bone per block is additionally minted and distributed to X-Leash holders that are part of a Leash pool. So we're talking about manipulation of the economics constantly. Part of the minted bone will be allocated to a multi-signature activated development wallet. There's another red flag. Yeah, maybe like if I just read this white paper over and over again like I have before, then I'll keep seeing how it looks like it's a scam. But, you know, to each their own. Let's go ahead, and we got a super chat from Christoph Suberville. Why don't you all help a bit for this wall mount or something? Well, it has to go up and down. That's what because we stand for a lot of our videos. All I have to do is get a better desk mount because and it sucks because this desk was perfect. If you remember, we didn't have any of the issues at the last house. When we moved, the movers stripped out all of the holes. I unfortunately wasn't here, or I would have told them not to put it together. I didn't know that they were doing it, and they fucked up my desk. And mounting it to the wall is not going to solve everything because I need it to specifically move up and down. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm sure SHIB will go up in value, but I'll take it. I'm sorry, I'm frustrated with the bouncing of the desk. As well, I'm definitely very, very frustrated with it as well. Andre Morris says, what do you think about Intel? The Intel coming into crypto market making ASICs. We've already talked about that before. Stick Shark says, that's son of a tech. I'll have to mess with them more after work, but they are on different circuits. Could it be a network thing? I doubt it's a network thing. To me, like, if you had the power go out and then they come back up and they all have issues, I would lean towards power. But you're going to have to go through the traditional troubleshooting steps, right? Start with one rig. Start with one rig, plug it in, and see when it fails. You need to then figure out if remove all the overclocks. Run that one rig, see if it fails, see if it was an overclock problem. From there, just keep taking the troubleshooting steps down the line. I have a whole video on basic troubleshooting steps. Ahmed Ali says, as son of a tech, we hear that there is a lot of metaverse gigantic projects. Which one are you looking at? And is there a way for us to join in and early invest? I don't know about early investment in the metaverse. Let me see if I can do this. I had a potential sponsor reach out. Oh, I got to get my 2FA code. I can't do it right now. And I was using basically an investment tool that kind of like automatically invests in like metaverse projects. if I'm looking at it objectively right now, Sandbox seems to be the one to go to. Right? Yeah. Sandbox is on my list. I believe Decentraland I was looking at. I think Sandbox will be the big early mover. Detroit Iris says, Ask Tech, need me to send you a tap and a die set to fix the desk? No, because, well, so that would be great if it didn't rip all the wood out around it, right? So it's, anyways, I'll work on it. The desktop, because I bought a stupid uplift desk, is expensive as hell, like $700 for the desktop alone. But the desktops are always the expensive part because that's what's going to stop the wobble too. Tomek says, Ask Tech, if you have 2 rigs running on a pool and one of them drops a few times a day, but the first one stays on 24/7, is that considered pool hopping from the pool side? No, but there's still a proportional, and it depends. It'll definitely depend on each individual pool, but it will be proportional. So I don't think you're going to get tagged necessarily as like a pool hopper. Like, you're still submitting shares, so your time on the pool is good, but obviously your shares are going to be reduced because you weren't mining with that rig at a given time. If that makes sense. Good morning, Mark. I do got to get ready for jiu-jitsu. Carl says, so what's your mega hash for target price? I'm doing ASICs right now for about probably the rest of this year, to be honest. I'm not buying any GPUs. So I'm hoping that I can buy... If I look at my budget right now, I think I can buy 10 ASICs, like 10 S19 Pros this year. Something like that. And then that'll take up, whatever, 30 kilowatts. Is that right? And then we'll go back to split. Gandalf Gray says, what do you think about the ASRock H510 Pro BTC motherboard? I have one. I haven't used it. I don't like that it's only 6 GPUs. There's no frames to put it in. There's no specialized, like, it's awkward. I would rather just buy a regular form motherboard that I can swap into, like, any frame or case. It's the form factor that kills it. Andre says, what do you think about the Cardano blockchain? I don't know enough about it, to be honest. That's kind of where I'm at. Snark says, at Tech, try using BAM or countertop slap. Pretty cheap. All right. Well, the problem is the whole desk shakes. Like, literally, like, if I barely touch it, like, the whole thing, it's bowed in as well. So I need the desktop, and then I have to redo I'll probably reorder all the hardware too. Yeah. Backdoor Slug says, what's a fair price for an S19 and where do you purchase them from? Well, I'm going to try these other ones first for cheaper. But the fair price for the S19s from what I saw is right around like 10K, right? But I purchased from BT Miners personally. Account Trope says, what car do you drive? A 2011 Chevy Silverado extended cab, 2-wheel drive, with everything falling apart on it, but it keeps going. No plans on getting anything different. Richard Crackle says, people keep making the comparison between crypto adoption and the internet adoption. We already talked about that today. Do you think we can even draw parallels between the two technologies? Well, it's not about that. They're talking about that from the perspective of specifically the markets, when we're talking about like what Wells Fargo is talking about specifically. If we wanted to talk about comparing them, I think there are parallels when it comes to the fact that usually when new technology like this starts out, you don't have like a governing entity, right? Whereas with the internet now, you basically have, and I guess this is kind of where like the distinctions are along with the similarities, but you have like big tech that completely controls basically the internet as we know it. Really, blockchain technology, hopefully at the end of the day, especially in conjunction when we're talking about with things like Web 3.0 and the decentralization of infrastructure, means that you're basically in competition with the previous big tech bubbles, right? So, part of what I would say is from a market standpoint, yes, the same. From a technological standpoint, I would say that blockchain is here to completely, to compete against traditional internet infrastructure and the powers that be. Of course, that's why they're going to get in early, like Google and Facebook, etc. Brad on Crypto says, thanks for all the videos. Is Bitcoin mining only profitable over there if you have a solar farm? Because it seems that way over here in Australia. No, it's profitable on traditional power. Especially in states where power costs are good, like Texas. The V-slot rail says slow low panda. Yeah, that could work. I don't know where I would put it. So the behind here is unfortunately a window, but we covered it up. I'll get to work on it, guys, and then I'll try not to bump the table when we're talking more. I'll make sure to switch scenes before I put my hands on the table. We'll just be like, all right, I'll move around here. Decentraland. Sandbox. There's where Snoop Dogg lives in the metaverse, apparently. All right, boys, I'm going to head out for the day. I'm going to go do jiu-jitsu. Then I think I got to go to Austin tonight. I also was looking at swinging by some Bitcoin mining conference in Austin, but I didn't really follow through with them. It started yesterday, and then it was very confusing with the media passes. He's like, well, you could advertise it, and then if you sell it, then we could take that off of like your media passes. And I'm kind of just, I don't like these conferences that are like, okay, the tickets are going to be $500 to $600, and if you're media, well, you can pay for that by like doing pre-rolls for the conference. And I'm like, bro, like, the price seems way too high for basically somewhere that I'm going to get sold products. Like, if it was like, okay, it's QuakeCon, it's a LAN event, and the $500 buys me like the VIP seating with the nice chairs and like more room for my monitor, then those price incentives make sense. If I'm going to a conference where it's like, okay, you're going to go and there's a couple panels, but primarily it's just a bunch of booths trying to sell me shit. Like, I don't feel like I need to go spend $500 to get sold shit. So I don't like going. Like, I find them, I like to go meet the people, but I hate that I have to pay to basically go get sold shit. It seems silly. Anyways, that's my complaining. I might try to swing by and see if they'll let me in, just to let me in. Thanks for watching, boys. I'll see you next Tuesday.